Hello. Before I get this started, I did my project on tauopathies. I decided to, rather than make a video, do a voiceover of the slideshow that is going on to my poster. This arrow and this circle, both of those are me doing instructions. So when I say look at something, that arrow will appear. Thank you. So I did my project on tauopathy, and tauopathy is a type of protein proteopathy that changes the structure of a protein called the tau protein that occurs in a process called hyperphosphorylation, where extra phosphor groups are added on to the protein and it denatures the protein or changes the structure. The tau protein is a specific protein that alters the way that the microtubules in nervous cells of the human brain connect together. So the TAU proteins actually latch on to the different small proteins in the microtubules and connect them together, as you can see here. This image is a standard microtubule, but only a small section of it. The red balls would be a normal microtubule protein, and then the blue string-like structures are the TAU proteins. I also drew a TAU protein right here. It is what the blue structures look like normally. It has the tendrils coming off of it. That's what it uses to link together the small parts of the microtubule. So without these proteins to regulate the shape of the microtubules become warped and changed. And this can lead to many issues, most of which is just the fact that the connections between brain cells become weaker, as well as just stop working the way they used to work. This image that I have right here actually is healthy brain cells that are connected normally. It's not an exact microscopic image. It's been computer generated. This image at the bottom is brain cells under a microscope that have the mutated TAU proteins, and as you can see, they're not nearly as connected, and they sometimes form clumps as opposed to having the straight line connections. And because these cells are responsible for relaying information through the microtubules, the mutated microtubules will actually cause issues in brain function, such as diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Now, funnily enough, this isn't actually the main cause of Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's has been classified as one disease. However, it's multiple diseases with very similar effects. So this is like technically a subset of Alzheimer's that needs to be treated differently. So research is being done on it in a different way. And basically, it's mainly trying to prevent hyperphosphorylation preemptively. This mutation actually pretty heavily affects the protein structures. The hyperphosphorylation is extremely detrimental to the quaternary structure, as it affects how the protein folds and how it connects to the other proteins. It's not necessarily a shape issue. It is more an issue of the way that the active site interacts with the other proteins in the microtubules. And so, while it does affect the primary and tertiary structure of the protein, it is most predominantly the quaternary structure that has the issue, because it functionally alters the protein, as the phosphate groups are a large portion of how the protein works. And without the extra phosphate groups, the protein's ability to do its job is hindered, and thus it doesn't work as well. And the last part is whether or not this is actually treatable. And the answer for that is we really don't know. Of course, scientists have been working on ways to prevent hyperphosphorylation in the brain cells, but there's no real way to guarantee that we will be able to treat the disease anytime soon. However, they're still working on therapies that would either work to change the way that the genes are sequenced, or to change the way that they're folded by using things like therapy chaperones. The scientific community is making progress on this right now, but it is not one of the forefronts of medicine. It is more of a thing that is on the back burner for the medical industry. This doesn't necessarily mean it is untreatable. It just means that we likely will not see a treatment within the next 10 years, unless there's other further scientific breakthrough.